Thanks a lot, Anthony, and thank you for everyone for listening. Like, I don't want to get into politics. It's obviously really tough out there for a lot of people. I just feel very lucky not only just to be alive, but to be working in this industry with people like Anthony, presenting to people like you. I love the exploration mining industry. It makes it a lot easier when you're working on a great project like NAC. Every single morning, to my wife's chagrin, at 12 o'clock at night, I set an alarm and I look at our drill results from the night before. And they've been very, very, very good. They keep on getting better. The market's not rewarding us. It's a weird market. The Justras, the Sprots, the BDs, the Rick Rules of the world, they don't invest in other juniors to get them attention. They're supporting their own plays, which makes sense. And when you have really good results, it goes down, and investors take it as a liquidity event to sell shares. So you got to deal with that. But at the same time, we have a great project with a great team and a great location. And those two problems I just mentioned, we kind of have solutions to them. So the one thing is the money and the partner. We don't have the Rick Rules or the BDs, we have Teck Resources. So Teck Resources gave us $6 million over 2 different investments within the last 4 months. They spent 6 months at our project, they researched us, they decided to invest in us. There's no better person or company to give you credibility than Teck Resources. We're also fully funded towards the end of next year. I obviously want our stock to be higher, I believe, for our shareholders. But we don't need the money, we want the money, and we have enough funding for the next little while. I also mentioned this industry. I forgot my belt today, and I thought Boots was a clothing store. It's nearby. It's not. And just to give you kind of an example of this industry, a guy named James Pettin, he works at CO.ca. He gave me his belt. So that kind of gives you an example of how great this industry really is. So I'll start the presentation. Again, you lose about 10% of your viewers every minute, so I probably lost 10% of you already. What you have to know is our symbol is AE. I believe we are the blue chip of the junior exploration industry. We have a great location, we have money, we're hitting great results. If you want to invest in this industry, that's one thing. I think NAC is probably the safest bet, in my personal opinion. Now, quick 1-minute history. So we found this project. My uncle's a geologist. He did the original mapping for Grasberg in Indonesia. And he said, Tony, you're a bean counter. Don't try to argue with me here. You got to provide this project at NAC. He said, of the geophysical targets I have ever seen, he said, this is the second best target I've ever seen. You have to get it. Trust me. So that was December 2021. Fast forward 20 months later, we've done 3 raises. We've raised $9 million. Teck Resources is in. We put 100% of the money that we've raised during that time into the ground. And our stock went from 3 cents to 30 cents, back to 10 cents, back to 30 cents. We're trading about 20 cents right now. And we're continuing to hit great results. If you look at a lot of other copper porphyry plays outside the Golden Triangle, I believe we are the best one. A lot of companies, they get their raise after they do a discovery hole, then the holes after that, not as good. We hit our discovery hole, we went from 3 to 30 cents, we hit 105 meters of 1.07% copper equivalent, and we went up. But since then, we've continued to hit better and better results. Our first drill hole this year is 800 meters of 0.5%. We just hit 500 meters of 0.65% copper equivalent. So we're doing very well, but we got to deal with this market. So that's the history of us. Again, American Eagle Gold, AE. So my chairman was here. I think he just left. His name's Stephen Stewart, great guy, personal friend on the YMP with me. And he came over to me. And he said, Tony, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? He goes, what's our strategy? And I honestly didn't know. When I said, get good results, get the stock up. What is the strategy, he asked me. And I thought about it for a little bit. And he gave me the answer because I didn't know. We got to prove that NAC is a mine. Our project NAC that's in BC. That's the end result. Because why am I here? I'm not here to get the stock from 3 cents to 30 cents, come back to 10 cents. I'm here to create a liquidity event so all my shareholders can get out of their investment at a lot higher price. And the only way to do that is to show that NAC can be a mine. And there's a few different parts, ingredients to create that recipe is to show that it's a mine. We have all of them. So stay with me here. I'm going to tell you what we got. So you need location, you need scale, you need grade. You need grade from surface, because if you want to have a payback sooner rather than later, you got to do an open pit that provides it. We have grade from surface. You need a partner. We have tech resources. They don't just give you the money, but they lend you support technically. They show all the investors out there. Trust me, 99.9% of investors out there know zero about geology. They take their cues from other investors to invest. What better cue than tech resources putting $6 million in not one, but 2 different investments? So we got that. So we're funded, like I said, towards the end of next year. We're going to drill again. We have community support. We have great partnership with the First Nations. And lastly, look, you need a great location. I think that's important. But if you can't process those rocks, that stuff in the ground is worth nothing. We got good metallurgy. So I'm going to quickly go through each of these things, show you a couple of graphs. Infrastructure. Infrastructure is super important. It's nice being 6,000 meters in the mountains of Chile or being in the Arctic, but that significantly increases your operating costs, increases your capital costs, and increases the amount of time for you to get payback. Where are we? Who's been to Smithers, BC? Anyone? Show a hand. You have. Great. So I thought Smithers was going to be, I wasn't sure what I was getting into when I flew there, but I absolutely loved it. Smithers is interior BC. It's right near Bell and Granite mines. Everybody knows about the Golden Triangle, but they're mining in the Babine district where we are way before they ever started mining at Red Chris. People just kind of forgot about it. And I'm going to bring up a couple pictures here. I had an investor named Otto. He said, a picture tells 1,000 words. I got 2 pictures. I'm going to tell 2,000 words. 2 important things to look at. Does it have a Japanese restaurant, and does it have a brewery? Smithers has those. From Smithers, it's an hour and 10 minutes. You take the logging road right across to our site. We got access to labor. We got access to power. We got access to people. We had a drill go down. Guess what? It was drilling that day because we got the spare part right away. It's extremely important. If you want good people to work in your mines, it's tougher to get them to go to South America. It's tough to get them to go to Africa. Man, I would move to Smithers. It reminds me of Collingwood, Ontario. It's absolutely beautiful. A lot of Swiss and Germans, nice infrastructure. Honestly, it's amazing. I think that's very, very important. Like real estate, the most important thing about a mine is location, location, and location. So infrastructure, got that. You need something big. People don't want to spend money for 100,000 ounces of gold a year. They want something big. They want something robust. They also want to make sure when the price of copper or gold goes down that they have a chance to make that money later on. You just need something huge. We have something that has a potential to be huge. This is a plan map. These are all the drill holes that we've done in the last 2 years. As you can see, our best holes, we're coming out with hole 2312, hopefully tomorrow, maybe next week. That hole is 420 meters north of hole 2311, the tail of it, which is 1.1 kilometers away from hole 2309. As you can see, it's a big footprint. I don't go to the casino because I'm not a very lucky guy, but Charlie Gregg, who's our head geologist, and he always said you can only be lucky so much. All those drill holes you've seen, they come up with great copper equivalent grades. Our worst drill hole had 900 meters of 0.2. Drive by Bell and Grand Isle, and you can see those mines, and they mine them at lower grades than what we're hitting in our most recent drill results. We have great drill results, and we have scale. Look at those drill results. There they are. Again, go to our website, americaneaglegold.ca. You can see those results. Grade and surface, we're hitting really good grade. We've hit a couple intersections of over 100 meters of over 1% copper equivalent. We have gold, we have copper. We're called American Eagle Gold because I guess we're not very good at naming our companies, but in the end, it doesn't matter what you're called. You just need really good results. I don't want to spend the $50,000 to change our name. We have copper and gold, and it's good to have both metals because guess what? Sometimes gold goes up, and sometimes copper goes up, and sometimes they go down. So when you're losing money on one metal, maybe you're making one on the next. It's nice to diversify your investments. It's nice to diversify your metals. We got both. Look at these results, 2308, 2311, from surface, high grade, high copper, 0.5% of 800 meters of 2308, 0.62% copper equivalent from 2311. It's consistency that you want to look for. We have very consistent grade from top to bottom. Now again, I mentioned earlier, you want to make a pit, you need high grade from surface. This map you see on the left, it shows all of our drill holes. All those holes you see there, they're very high grade at surface. That's where a starter pit potentially can be. So, A partner, I've said this a couple times, investors take their cues from investors that talk about, like Frank over there, he puts money in a stock other people want to buy. The other thing is tech resources, big companies, if they spend the time and their technical team to spend 6 months, which they did at our property to invest, I think a lot of investors can take that as a cue that it's a good investment, or at least a better one than a lot of the other ones out there. It doesn't matter whether you spend $3 million or $30 million, it's still about the same amount of time to do your due diligence. And companies like tech didn't become companies like tech by wasting the small little dollars. You look after your pennies, the nickels look after themselves. So they did their homework and they invested in us twice for a reason. Tech, there they are, nice symbol. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use it. Let's not tell them. Metallurgy, again, I talked about metallurgy. We have all those things I just spoke about, but guess what? If you can't process it, it's worth nothing. So the good thing about us, we have lots of Chalcopyrite, we have lots of bornite, we have some chalcocite. Quick Cole's notes here, Chalcopyrite approximately 4 weight, 60% copper, bornite 4 weight, 80% copper. I forget what chalcocite is, I think it's 90%, I might be wrong. We have a lot of that, it's easier to process. Big companies want them when they want to process it. We have it everywhere, and they also did a metallurgy study in the 90s, and they show good initial results, so that's very, very interesting. And we have the metallurgy, so another check mark. Community support. We have really great community support. People are always worried about First Nations and the community. There are a lot of different First Nations all across Canada. There's a lot of different companies that work with them, good or bad. I treat the relationship with the First Nations, our partners, like how I treat my relationship with my wife at home. What are the foundations for that? Truth, honesty, communication. That's what we do with the First Nations. We're friends with them, we communicate with them, we let them know what's going on. They see our news releases the night before. We talk to them, we ask them about their family. I am literally friends with them, and they feel that, and we want to do what's good for them. They want to do what's good for us. So we have a very strong foundation from the very beginning. There's Chief Murphy, a great guy. They actually contacted the ministry. They said, give these guys their permits. When we first tried to get our permits, we got them in 3 months. And he wrote them a note, said, give these guys their permits to drill. And we had our second 5-year permits, and we actually waited 2 months till we signed them, and they said, don't have to sign them, but we want to do them on land. It was the first time the chief had been to a mining property. We actually signed it at our neck property. He was there, and that's our CFO, Joel Friedman, who's very, very talented. So just a couple little analogies here. You know, our big issue, we're hitting great results, but it's like a tree falling in the middle of the forest. Nobody knows, if nobody's there, does it make a sound? If people don't know our symbol, AE, or American Eagle Gold, how can they invest? It's not just about talking to you in the room, it's about using these videos and sending them around so people can know about our company. It's just about the opportunity that people know that we're out there, and that's why we're doing this marketing. It's important. Now, everyone always says, the first time I got into business, it said, Tony, it's a 10,000 to 1 shot. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, my job as CEO is to have great people find a great project with great infrastructure, but it's to make that haystack as small as possible, to give you as investors the best opportunity to make a return. So that's what I'm doing. And all those ingredients I showed you for that recipe help make that haystack as small as possible. So look, I think it's about a 1 in 1,000 chance when you're in Canada. It's probably 1 in 10,000 chance when you're in Africa or South America. So we already reduced our chances. We increased our chances right there. I believe we have a great, great company, a great project. We're going to continue to drill. We're just doing our last drill hole right now, 2317. We're going to be coming out with the results all the way to the end of the year. Hopefully copper and gold bounce back. We can start getting some tailwinds. Now, how much time do I have? 1 minute, 28 seconds. I'll tell a story really quickly. That's my Uncle Gary. He's the reason why I got into this business. I think I was 1 year old then. He just came back from Indonesia, actually. Saw us once a year. He's the reason why I got in this business. He's the reason why my dad invested in this business, for better or for worse, for my mother. But he's the reason why we also bought NAC. And he begged me to buy it, and we got it. And our first drill hole, our stock went from 3 cents to 30 cents. He saw our first core, and he's like, Tony, you were onto something. I'm right. And he loved it. He loved geology. But he passed away before our first result came out. He passed away August 31st last year. So he died. But I like to think we have something else behind us. We have him looking up from heaven on us. And, you know, I think it's a little sign that, you know, we've been hitting things for a reason. Gary's one of those reasons, I believe. He was a very smart geologist. He worked for 50 years, specialized in copper and gold. He worked with Robert Friedland, who's speaking tomorrow. Again, he told us to buy this project. We got a guy named Steve McMullen, who's a geophysicist for Ivanhoe, again, working for Rob, that told us, again, this is a good property to buy. Our symbol's AE. I'm Tony Morrow. Please watch us. We're coming out with a lot of news to come. And Anthony, thank you very much for having me.